Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch Transfer Roundup. So, we are on track for the roundup at the moment. We have got a bit to cover that has happened this week. There are some unfortunate circumstances that have happened this week as well. So, we've got a bit to go over in this video. But, let's start off from where we left off last time. That was V, the Chinese DPS player signing up for like this player. So, we start off with Lethal. This is the Turkish DPS player. He was with the Uprising Academy in NA Contenders. He is no longer with them. He is unassigned and will be looking for a team. Numlocked, who we talked about last week, the British tank player, he was unassigned and he is now with Montreal Rebellion in NA Contenders, the academy team of the Toronto Defiant. They have also signed up the Danish DPS player Shockwave from Square One. So that's actually a pretty big loss for Square One. Square One had actually had a pretty good run of it in Contenders so far. So we will see how Shockwave does at Montreal Rebellion. So, moving over to Korea then, and we need to talk a bit about T1. T1 have brought in the assistant coach Sand. They've also brought in the support player Fixer. And they've signed Perfect, the Korean DPS player from Atlanta Academy. So, we will be talking a bit more about Atlanta Academy a little bit later on. Because, yeah, something's happened. Anyway, T1 have let go of two players though. This is the Canadian support player 6 feet and the DPS player Zerocious from Yemen. So, they are now unassigned and will be looking for a team. Also, someone looking for a team is the team leader, originally with Chengdu Hunters. This is Watson, the Chinese team leader for Chengdu Hunters. He's now no longer with the Hunters and he will be looking for a team to be a leader of once again, I presume. And then we have the American support player Mudkip. He was with Sky Foxes. He's no longer with them now. He'll be looking for a team, presumably, in the future. Also, we have the Brazilian tank player GBR. He was with Motus Muta Rapidas in South American Contenders. He's no longer with them, and he is retired from Overwatch, so we wish him all the best for the future. Also, we did mention the tank player, the Canadian tank player Jane last time out, and he is signed up with the Maryville Saints. They are now known as the Saints, I believe, just that. So, the Saints are having a really good time of it in NA Contenders right now. They've really stood out as a surprise package, so I really do wish the Saints all the best going forward. Now, I did say we would come back to Atlanta Academy, and this is where we do that. So, they have let go of the American support player Kaka, the Dutch tank player Dans, the American tank player Pika, and the two American DPS players Sugarfree and Saucy. This is because Atlanta Academy has, well, they say they are taking a hiatus from NA Contenders. They are disbanded as of this point, basically. So, another Academy Overwatch League team has fallen by the wayside. It's becoming a bit of a theme. We have seen a lot of NA Academy teams really kind of fall on their sword in recent times, and it's not something we want to see, really, is it? It's again brings up a lot of questions about Tier 2. I mean, I think we all remember the days when we used to talk about the Mayhem Academy for Florida Mayhem and Gladiators Legion for the LA Gladiators, NRG for the San Francisco Shock. And none of them are competing now. Even the Fusion University has now gone because T1, even though it was part of the Fusion University, the rules in Contenders these days are that you can't have an academy team outside of your region. So T1 is not officially related to Fusion anymore. So Fusion basically haven't got an academy. So a lot of academies have gone, and it's disappointing to see. And I suppose the only benefit to it is that we get to see more of these surprising teams coming up and really giving it a go in Contenders. But it also means that Contenders loses some of its allure for people who just watch the Overwatch League. So, at the moment, the Academy system for Contenders and Overwatch League is failing big time. And it'll be interesting to see if Blizzard Esports, tried to do anything in terms of trying to curb that. It would be interesting to see what they do. But Moving on, and we have another mover at Motus Muta Rapidas in South America, or in Brazil. This is the tank player Storm. He is retired as well. So, Motus Muta Rapidas have actually lost their entire tank line. That's not ideal, is it, in the middle of a contender season? But we will see what happens at Motus Muta Rapidas, and we will keep an eye on them because obviously they are in the Contenders Roundup, and we'll see what happens. But, moving on. And does anyone remember TZ? I'm sure you do, from the Vancouver Titans last season. He was briefly with the London Spitfire the season before as well, even though he didn't appear for the London Spitfire. But TZ was the replacement for Bumper in the Overwatch League playoffs last year for Vancouver Titans. He was released by the Titans as they signed Fisher. Yeah, it was a controversial decision, but it seems to be working for the Titans at the moment. But TZ has been without a team since. He is now no longer looking for a team. He has signed up with Lucky Future. And Lucky Future, is it a retirement home for people who are no longer in the Overwatch League? Lucky Future have had a lot of players, ex-Overwatch League players, and still have them. Daco, Nuss, Munchkin, TZ, they're all at Guido as well. They're all at Lucky Future right now in China. So that's a team with a lot of experience. It's quite a stacked roster, so yeah, another big signing at Lucky Future. Moving on then, and the coach Elmer, the South Korean coach for Phantom Wizard, he is left. He's no longer with that team and will be looking for a team. Then we come to Dragon Eddie, the Italian tank player, the off-tank player, who was with Uprising Academy. He's no longer with them now. He will be pursuing more streaming opportunities. This was kind of a victim of circumstance as well, but I do wish Dragon Eddie all the best for the future. He's a great guy, and I hope we see more of him in the future. Then we have the German DPS player Fee. He was with ex-Oblivione. He is now no longer assigned and will be looking for a team. The coach Amy, the South Korean coach, was with Pokemon Max. Pokemon Max was actually Dusk Till Dawn before this in Chinese Contenders, so there's a bit of information for you. He has moved to Team BM, so we wish him all the best. Then we have the Chinese coach Chewa, I think I'm getting that right, who was with Like This Player. He is now no longer with them and will be looking for a team. And then we come to a big block to talk about. So, let me run through this a minute. This is in Australia. This is with No Weaver. This is the coach, the Australian coach Coda, the American coach Destroyer, the manager Chehorowitz, the two substitutes Bork and Bad, the tanks Fundray and Mini, the Chinese DPS BRS, the DPS Nahimi, and the two supports Don Lab. They have all gone from No Weaver. And the reason for this is I believe there has been a bust up at No Weaver. I think there was some sort... I don't know. There was complaints that the players weren't treated very well by parts of No Weaver. The owner the owner of No Weaver has come out and said, well, this is not the way our organization should be working. And they will return to Australian Contenders at some point, I would imagine. But at the moment, they will be out of it and they will be disbanded as of this point at the moment. So that's another disbandment for this video, which is unfortunate because I don't want to be announcing teams disbanding. So we don't like to see this. But we are back to the German DPS player, Fee again. He, obviously, we talked about earlier, leaving ex-Oblivione. He's now with Square One in NA. Obviously, Square One needed to sign a DPS replacement after they lost Shockwave to the Montreal Rebellion. So he is going to be the replacement for them. Then we have 3 players coming in at Phantom Wizard in China. These are all Korean players. It's the support player Faith and the 2 tank players Dory and Adeline. They will be playing for Phantom Wizard from here on in. Then we have the analyst Tiago, the Brazilian analyst Tiago, who was at Warpigs. He is no longer with Warpigs and will be retiring from Overwatch, so we wish him all the best for the future. Then we have Alan. He was a coach at the Chinese team Phantom Wizard. He will now have split responsibilities. He will be a coach at Phantom Wizard still, but he will also be a special correspondent and a content creator for the Shanghai Dragons, which obviously we know they are in Korea at the moment. I believe the Shanghai Dragons are. But they are obviously one of our Overwatch League Chinese teams, and they want a content creator and special correspondent, and that they've got in Alan. So, moving on, and then 2 coaches coming out of Los Angeles. Valiant. This is the American coach Stroop and the American coach Reprise. So there are some movements going on at Valiant. This is actually rather surprising, considering the Valiant haven't actually shown us much this season. So that means that the Valiant are down to basically 2 coaching staff now. This is Packing 10, the head coach, and Gumba, the assistant coach. So I have some questions about this. I mean, a two-man coaching staff is what London Spitfire had last season. It didn't work, in my opinion, so I will wonder and keep an eye on the Los Angeles Valiant to see if they bring in people to replace those coaching losses. I kind of hope they do, otherwise I think they're a bit thin on the ground in terms of coaching staff, but we will see what the Valiant do in the future. And to round this video off, we have 3 players coming in at Sky Foxes. This is the tank, or the Dutch tank player Dans. Obviously we mentioned that he is no longer with the Atlanta Academy after they disbanded. And then we have the Korean support player Supreme and the Chinese support player Haruhi. I think I'm saying that right. Haruhi. I think I'm saying that right. I'll get there eventually anyway. But those are 3 players coming at Sky Foxes. I think Sky Foxes wanted to make a few changes. They had started this year out pretty well, getting comprehensive victories and things like breakable barriers last year, coming into the seeding tournament, getting a seeding place, but since then they've kind of fallen off a bit, so I think they wanted to kind of get back to where they were at the start of this year, and Dan's is going to be a great pickup after being at Atlanta Academy. But that is our roundout for the transfer roundup this week. It is unfortunate to see some disbanding teams. Again, I still think there are major issues with especially academy teams in Contenders, but Contenders has always had an issue with being worth it, basically. A lot of the teams in Contenders just want to prove they are good enough for the Overwatch League. It's not a, oh my god, there's massive prize money at the end of it, oh my god, this is really worth it, blah, blah, blah. Because very often, teams don't pay for themselves when competing in Contenders, and that's why we see such a massive turnover of teams. Giganti is an example of this, and there are a lot of teams that have fallen by the wayside over the years in Overwatch Contenders, just because the money doesn't come in to keep the team going. So Giganti was a big team and had a lot of history in Overwatch Contenders, but just because Contenders just doesn't give out enough money to make it viable. And that's why so many teams have moved on and away from Contenders and Tier 2, even though some of them are very big teams. Financial viability is not in Contenders and hasn't been for a long time, and we would like Blizzard to change this eventually, hopefully. They get a lot of money from the Overwatch League. Just filter it down a little bit. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.